So we already learned how we can use add event listener method. First, we need to pass the event name. Then we need to pass the function name. But there is another parameter which is completely optional. And the parameter name is useCapture. This parameter returns true either false value. Now, what is the meaning of that? Let's try to understand what is the meaning of that. Here you can see two containers, outer and inner. First one is outer div and second one is inner div. And you said click event both the divs. Now, if you click on inner div section, it's automatically triggered the outer div click. I want to say, in that case, it's going to run both the events. And if you want to run the inner div event, then you want to run outer div event. In that case, you need to use useCapture parameter. So let's start the practical and see how we can use it. So as you can see, side by side, I open my Visual Studio Code editor and my browser using LiveServer extension, and I already created an HTML file named index2.html. With that, I create a JavaScript file main2.js. As you can see, in my browser, we have outer div and inner div. And now I'm going to add to similar event both the divs. And then we are going to see how we can use useCapture parameter. So first, I'm going to target the element. So I'm going to type document dot query selector. Inside the round braces, we need to pass the element name using the ID. So I'm going to type hashtag and the ID name is inner. First I target the inner element. Then I'm going to use dot. And here I'm going to use add event listener. And our event name is click. And here I'm going to create the inline function. So I'm going to type comma function. Function round braces, and inside the curly braces, this dot style dot background equal to, and I want green background color when I click on inner div, green. So we're going to end this line. If I save this file and click on this inner div section, as you can see, it turned into green color. So I'm going to save this file and back to the previous position. At the same time, I'm going to add the same event in our outer div section. So I'm going to duplicate this line, and here I'm going to pass outer. And I want the background color blue. And I'm going to save this file. In these programs, we do not use our last parameter useCapture. So first, I'm going to show you the demonstration without useCapture. So I'm going to save this file again, and I'm going to click on inner div section. When I click on inner div section, as you can see, it's also effect on outer div section. To make it more clear, let's add two alert box inside this event. So here I'm going to type alert, and inside the alert box, I'm going to type inner div. Inner div. And for outer div, I'm going to type outer div. And I'm going to save this file. Now, if I click on the inner div section, as you can see, first it runs inner div. If I press OK, then it runs outer div. But if I pass the third parameter, which is useCapture, and here I'm going to pass true. Also, I'm going to pass true parameter for our outer div, true. And I'm going to save this file. And if I click on my inner section, now you can see at first it runs outer div portion. If I press OK, then it runs inner div. It is possible when we pass true value, both the element, and if I pass false, both the functions. Let me show you. So here I'm going to pass false. Also I'm going to pass false here. False, and save this file and click on inner div section. Now you can see it runs the default function. First it runs inner div event, then it runs outer div event. So this is the basic usage of this parameter. Now let's talk about our last method, which is remove event listener. As you can see, we apply click event multiple times in our header portion. Our first click event going to change the background color, and our second click event going to change the border style. So as you can see, we open our previous example file, and here we use two click events. So at first, I'm going to remove the second function, and then I'm going to change the event name. and I'm going to change mouse leaf. And I'm going to save this file. As you know, when we use this event, whenever we hover my cursor on this element and remove the cursor, it's going to apply the function. Let me show you. So I'm going to hover my cursor on this header section. And if I remove my cursor, as you can see, it's changed the background color. But I want to remove this event. So how we can remove this event? For that, we have remove event listener function. So again, I'm going to select the header portion. So I'm going to duplicate this line. And here I'm going to type add event listener, and here I'm going to use another event, which is click. And I'm going to call a different function, and our function name is XYZ. So let's create the function. Here I'm going to type function XYZ, then round braces. Then inside the curly braces, I'm going to type document dot get element by ID, and our ID name is header. So I'll copy this portion and paste it inside the round braces. Dot, now we need to use the function, which is remove event listener. Remove event listener. And here we need to pass the event name, which event I want to remove. And I want to remove this event, mouse leaf. So at first, we need to pass the event name, which is mouse leaf. So I copy the event name inside the double quotes. I'm going to pass it. And then we need to pass the function name. And the function name is ABC. And semicolon to end this line. So after set this file, I hover my cursor and I remove my cursor from the header portion. Now you can see, again it turned into green. But if I save this file again, this time I'm going to click on this header portion. I want to call the click event. After press click event, and if I remove my cursor from this position, as you can see, hey, it's not work. Oops, I did a silly mistake because I passed the function name inside the double quotes. I don't need to pass the function name inside the double quotes. So I want to save this file again. And again, I'm going to move my cursor on this header portion. And this time I'm going to press click. After press the click, and if I remove my cursor from this portion, as you can see, now the background not change the color. So this is the usage of remove event listener. This method is used to remove events. As you can see, to remove mouse leaf event, we set another event, which is click. So after press the click, it's going to call this function XYZ. And in our XYZ, we use remove event listener method. And this method going to remove this event from this function. So this is how we can use remove event listener function. So thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for our next tutorial.